we are stepping up the level of our services. Our goal is to treat your loved ones with the respect they deserve. We are taking our services to new heights. We are stepping in a new direction. Step into the new millennium with Golden Gate Funeral, where service begins and never ends. Hello and welcome to Ask the Undertaker, an open, honest look at the funeral service brought to you by Golden Gate Funeral Home and Crematory, with facilities in Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas, Texas, and Tallulah, Louisiana. I'm your host, John Beckwith Jr., and I'm joined today by the King of Pre-Need, Brother Eddie Pace.
Hello there.
We have the Queen of Pre-Need, Sister Deborah Abrams.
Hello, everybody.
We have our sister and Chief Financial Officer, Miss Carolyn Haynes.
Hello, everyone.
We have the pastor, M.T. Body, of St. John Baptist Church in Hillsboro, Texas.
Praise the Lord, everyone.
And the pastor, A. Lewis Eaton, of the Church of Living God Temple 280.
Blessings on you.
All right, today we come from Proverbs, 22nd chapter and the 6th verse. Pastor Eaton, will you read that for us?
The word of God says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
All right, today we're going to talk about the basics. Pastor Eaton, that's pretty basic, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And that says if you give him the basics, regardless where he goes, regardless what he does, he would know to come back to the basics.
That's right, because he'll remember the basics.
He'll remember the
He'll
basics.
remember the basics.
Pastor, you think that's a good idea to teach some basics?
That's the best thing you can do is teach the basics. To me, basics is like the foundation.
Okay.
You can always build upon a foundation. And when you give someone some basic instruction, basic information, they can move forward from there.
Carolyn, he says the foundation. We can't try to build a high rise without some type of foundation.
Exactly. And you have to teach our children. Our children come here knowing nothing. So we put into them and we fill them up. And like you said, if you start with the basics, you have something to build on and they have something to remember.
And I think we all agree when Carolyn says we try to teach our children. But also as adults, we need some teaching as well, don't we?
We do.
There's some basic
Absolutely.
things we need to learn about, isn't it?
It is.
Is that why we have the Ask the Undertaker, King of Pre-Need?
Definitely. We are teaching the basics of buying a pre-need, having life insurance, having a will. We're teaching the basics.
And we got to have those basics,
That's right.
Now, one of the first things that happens, Carolyn, when someone passes away is that you need to make a phone call.
Yes.
We make it very clear you need to call
Golden Gate Funeral Home.
But there's some more things you need to know. So let's kind of help the public with some basic things they need to know.
Well, we start with, John, your loved one's name. We have to know who you're calling us about. And then the second thing would be, where are they? Please give us an address.
And that's very important because we know it's a very emotional time, but we need to know where to come and pick up your loved one. Pastor Bada, what's another thing we'll add to that?
Well, Brother John, we also need to know the name of the person who's contacting us.
Okay.
And also need their phone number. In the event that the line should get disconnected, we can call you back and further assist you in the need of getting your loved one taken care of.
If I just showed up somewhere to pick up somebody's loved one, they say, who told you to come?
That's right.
Where did you come from? Who called you?
Right.
So
right.
we need that basic information. This is who we spoke with, and this is their contact. And you say sometimes things happen and you get disconnected,
Right.
or you might need directions to where you're going.
Correct.
So if you're going to call, give us your information
Right.
as well. What else do we need to know, Queen?
The attending physician.
Okay, now that's important because a lot of people say, listen, I don't know all that. Why is that important to know your loved one's attending physician?
Because they're the person's name that had to be on the death certificate.
So that person has to sign the death certificate.
Right.
Carolyn, we see this so often. The death certificates cannot be filed. We've seen it months
Yes.
because we don't know the attending physician, and who we thought it was refused to sign it.
Exactly. We have a hard time finding that attending physician. So sometimes we will tell them, if you're in the room with them or you're at home or in a hospital room, pick up their medicine. The attending physician is usually on your medicine bottle.
So the person who normally give you your medicine is normally the person that's considered as an attending
physician.
So, and, you know, I notice, King, when the medical examiner come to someone's house, the first thing they do is collect their medicine.
That's right.
Because it does tell them which doctor to contact and what type of medicine
They were taking.
they were taking. Kind of helps with the cause
Of
of
death.
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 Pastor Eaton, how important is it that we know who the next of kin is?
That's very important because that is the person that you're going to be contacting to do the arrangements and stuff. Mostly it's the next of kin.
Okay. Because, Carolyn, in the state of Texas, the next of kin has a right to handle the found disposition. Not the person who calls me,
Right.
not the person who thinks they're in charge, but actually the
legal next of kin.
Okay.
And the state of Texas has given us the lineage and the people that are considered your next of kin. So we must know, as Reverend Body said, who we're speaking with and who your next of kin is, so that we can guide you in the right direction to get the arrangements done for your loved one.
Now, King of Preneed, there's a couple of ways we can get authorization to embalm. What's one of those ways we can get authorization to embalm?
Okay, first of all, they have to be the next of kin.
So I can't get authorization to embalm from anybody and
Anybody.
everybody. Just
Correct.
because you call me, I can't get it from them. I have
No.
to get it from the next of kin.
Next of kin.
What's a couple ways I can get it?
Well, Brother John, you can get it orally over the phone.
So you can actually just tell me it's okay to do it.
Yes, sir.
How do we verify this person actually told us?
Well, we ask them for their date of birth.
Okay, because that's not something I would know.
Right.
If you call me and I ask you for authorization to embalm, I'm going to ask you for your date of birth.
Correct.
Because if you come back later and say, I didn't tell you that, I'll say, not only did you tell me.
You gave me your date of birth.
Oh, okay. So that helps a little bit, Carolyn. What's another way we get it done, Carolyn?
Written authorization.
Okay.
When you come to our funeral home to make the arrangements, and sometime when we come to your home, we will bring that written authorization because there is no law in Texas regarding requirements for embalming, so we must either get oral or written.
That's interesting, and you're absolutely right, Carol. It's not a law in the state of Texas that you have to be embalmed.
Right.
And those are basic things that people need to know. But the law also says that a deceased person will begin to decompose. So there's something that the funeral home must do with that deceased person. So the state says either we can refrigerate the body, we can embalm the body, or encase it in a leak-proof container. So it's important that we know that, Queen.
Very important. Also, Mr. Beckwith, if you give us the authority to embalm very quickly, the sooner they're embalmed, the more lifelike they're going to look.
It definitely helps. I definitely agree, because when decomposition sets in, it changes the way the body looks. So it's very important. You say you want to do that and do it
Quickly.
So the best way, not being rushed,
Right.
is to find that out before someone passed away of what I want done.
Right.
We don't want to be calling people all over town. What do you think? Should we do this? Did they want to donate their body to science? Maybe we should get an autopsy. Well, Carol, those are things we need to discuss
Before someone passes away.
Okay.
We need to tell our families everything that we want done, and now we're teaching you the procedures that are necessary to be done so that you can discuss them with your family.
So we got the basic things. If you make that call,
Yes.
those are things you need to know. All right. Now, Pastor, after you made that call, you're going to have to come in and make arrangements.
Yes, sir.
Help me with some of the basic things that I need to bring with me, or some things that I need to know when I come in with arrangements.
Well, you're going to need to know the mother's maiden name.
Okay.
You're going to need to know, if it's a lady, you're going to need to know her maiden name.
Okay.
You're going to also need to know their address, their social security number, their date of birth, the address in which they lived at.
That's a lot of information.
Yes, a lot.
So the person that knew that information is now passed on.
Right.
Queen of Preneed.
That's right.
That's interesting. When you think I need to ask him that?
Today.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
And listen, that's not going to change.
It's not.
What's your mother's maiden name is not going to change. I go ahead and ask you that and write it down now.
Right.
The home address may change, but a lot of times when a person is in a nursing home or pass away at a health facility, we need to ask them, what is your home address? That's so important, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Your father's name is not going to change as a pastor.
It didn't change.
Oh, okay. So we can go ahead and get that information. What about a social security number, Pastor Eaton?
That goes with you to the grave.
Okay, so we need to go ahead and ask our
that
loved ones
Social security number right
now,
away. Right.
and go ahead and write it down.
Right.
Because we're going to need to know those. The Pastor Body say we got to know those things.
Yes, sir.
When we come in to make funeral arrangements. This is probably our number one asked question about arrangements. What's required for them to wear, Pastor Eaton? Kind of help us out, help the public out with what kind of clothes should I bring my loved one?
Well, in my case, you know, it'd be, as a minister, I would like to have on a suit.
Okay, a suit, a complete
A
suit.
complete suit.
Okay.
And my underwear, my socks, my shoes.
Now, that's interesting you say that, because people ask us all the time, do they really need underwear? What's that answer?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now, Queen, help me out as a woman. What underwear do I need to bring for a woman? Because it's not something a man always knows.
Well, I would say everything that a woman would normally wear.
Okay, which is?
The bra, panties, the stockings.
Okay. Is that important, Carol?
That's about
Very
it.
important.
And we need to know that.
And we
Because I
tell
know men, we don't want to talk about that. We're almost a little ashamed to say, we don't want to say the word panties. We
Right.
don't want to say the word bra.
Right.
We don't want to say the word slip. We don't want to say the word stockings. But you need to know those things.
And it's very important. A lot of people will say, well, why do I need to bring those things? And we always tell our families, it's to give your loved one respect. Those are the items they wore when people came to see them. So we want to give them that same respect, and this is the list of the items we need.
You know, when I was a young kid, before I ever went to Marshall College 30 years ago, this is what they told me. You need to dress like you're on the way to church. And you need to fully dress. Fully dress.
Right.
And you know, I guess I was brought up in a time that women wore all clothes.
All of it. All of those underclothes.
So I think that's where that tradition came
Right.
from. Now, does anything have to be new that they wear, Pastor?
No, sir, it doesn't have to be new.
Doesn't have to be new, just has to be
Clean.
clean. Okay, all right. Just clean it. It doesn't have. You don't have to go out and go shopping.
No.
Because what I found, especially in men cases, you can't find one underwear. Sometimes we got to buy 3 at a time, and the family ends up with a whole package of underwear.
Right.
You just bring the one they have, and normally the ones you have fits.
Exactly.
Right.
Because
So you
they're
don't have to
yours.
worry about size.
Right.
Now, King, does a deceased person need shoes?
Yes.
These shoes?
Yes, yes.
You know, we get asked this quite often. Can we put shoes on them? Or why don't y'all put shoes on
We
them?
actually dress them just like they would normally dress, especially when you have a full couch casket where it shows the whole body and you can see their shoes.
You can see the shoes. Now,
Right.
Pastor Body, sometimes we are unable to put shoes on deceased.
Right.
What would be the reason for that?
Well, sometimes your loved one's feet were swollen.
They'll just swell.
They will swell.
In sickness.
Right.
Okay.
And the shoes no longer fit.
Okay.
Or they could have been amputees, and they didn't have no need for shoes.
Things of that sort.
That's true,
Right.
but they were still. Some people knew it was their favorite pair of shoes before that happened, so we want to bury them with them.
So, Carolyn, how often does our feet sweat?
Mine's well every day.
And I'm pretty sure you're not the only one that's watching right now. Okay.
So that's why we tell them, and what we do, Judge, we just give you a choice. We tell you that they're not required here at the funeral home, but it is your choice. As Reverend Body just stated, if it's a favorite pair or it matches the outfit that you're bringing for your loved one, by all means bring the shoes. And if they will fit, we will make sure they have them on. If not, they will be with them.
All right. Now, this is what I get asked quite often too, King. Does man need pants?
Oh,
Because the only thing you see is
That,
half the body. So do we need the pants?
yes, we dress them with their pants on.
Completely
Yes,
dressed.
Completely.
Does a woman actually need a skirt? Because the only thing you're going to see is half the body.
Absolutely. Just like Ms. Haynes said, it's dignity and respect for the loved one. That's
Bring
deceased.
all the
Bring everything.
All the
everything.
clothing.
All right. Now, Carolyn, our veterans, we thank God for them. The discharge papers is what we call a DD 214. What we've found is that many veterans, when they pass away, that the family is unable to find those. And what we have found, it is very difficult to get one.
Yes.
And we need it immediately. So what do we say to our veterans and our veterans' families now?
We tell all of our veterans and your families to tell your loved ones where that DD 214 is. Show the person that you trust that will be taking care of your arrangements where all your important papers are, and make that a part of it for veterans. It delays your burial, and sometimes we have to wait, or you have to be buried somewhere else because we cannot locate that DD 214, and the government has a hard time sometimes going back to archives, looking in boxes, looking through records in order to find your military records.
Carol, I've seen them have to go all the way through the FBI to try to find if someone actually served in the military. And this takes a long
Yes, it
period
does.
of time. And we need to have your funeral next week.
Yes. Yes.
We need to bury you immediately. And your family needs your benefits. So if you've been in the military, please get a copy of your DD
And put it with all your important papers and tell the person that will be handling your arrangements where it is.
Queen?
Also, I'd like to say a lot of times when families come in to make prearrangements, they'll bring a copy of the DD 214, and I'll copy it and put it in our file folder, so when death occurs, we have that along with the pre-need papers for the family.
So important. So if you get this pre-need that we talk about all the time, put this DD 214 with that pre-need, with all your important papers, and we'll take care of it. Why should everybody get a pre-need, King?
Because that is the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
That's the right thing to do for your family.
Okay.
So it's no emotional spending.
That is so important. Emotions, we say it's so, you say you don't want to emotionally overspend. Or you don't want to make Carolyn, you don't want to make a decision that you may regret later.
Exactly. But you don't get a redo in a funeral, as you like to say. And you don't want any regrets. So getting that pre-need, putting it in writing, you take care of your family emotionally.
Well, what's another reason why we should get a pre-need?
Your wishes are done.
Okay, my wishes, not your wishes, my wishes.
I have the casket.
So important.
That I want. If there's any special advanced items like the horse and carriage for me or for any other person. I had a man to come in the other day. He wanted the doves and he wanted the elite pallbearers. He wanted all of that at his funeral. So his wishes will be done because he made a pre-need.
So important. My final disposition, Pastor Body, is my choice.
Right.
I don't have to leave that up to my family. I can be entombed. I can be cremated. I can be buried. Whatever I want. It is my choice. You said it's wishes.
Right.
But what's another reason why I should get a pre-need?
Well, it financially makes sense.
Okay, now everybody can deal with that, can't they?
That's right.
Money is important.
That's right.
Okay.
We freeze the cost of today's services. And if you live 30 years from now, if you were paid on that pre-need for 2 years, it's paid in full.
It's paid in full.
And the family don't have to come out of pocket with nothing.
Isn't that something, Carol? I know the CFO can relate with financially making sense.
Most definitely. And it allows your family not to have to pay any money for your funeral. You pay for your own funeral. You pay your own way now. Pay for your own funeral.
Just makes sense. Can everybody get a pre-need?
Absolutely, Mr. Beckwith. Anybody from 0 to 117, 18 years old
they can get a pre-need.
Yes,
what if they're sick?
If they're sick, if they're in prison, if they're in a nursing home, if they're healthy, if they're in excellent health, anybody can get a pre-need.
Any and everybody. What if I don't have any money? Can I still get a pre-need, King?
We have what you call a free pre-need.
Okay.
You can definitely get a free pre-need where you can use your life insurance that you already have.
So if I do a free pre-need, I still take care of the emotions and I take care of my wishes. And you say, well, I can just use my insurance to pay for my funeral bill.
Yes, you can.
But you still need a pre-need.
That
is so important, Carolyn. We cannot say that enough.
No, sir.
Now, also, there's a thing out there called a spin down, Queen, when it comes to Medicaid.
Right.
Pre-need helps with that.
It absolutely
help us a little bit
does,
with that.
Mr. Beckwith. I get calls all the time from families that have to do a spin down when they're getting ready to put someone one of their loved ones into a nursing home.
Okay.
Because they only allowed a certain amount of money, and the spin down, they have to use up the funds that they have so it won't actually show as an asset. And that's one of the wonderful ways they can do it, is they can buy a pre-need, not only for themselves, but they can buy it for a family member.
That is so important. So I need to make a spin down, and you will hear this if you have a loved one that's getting ready to go to a nursing home or may need special assistance.
Skilled nursing.
In order to get Medicaid, Carolyn, it's the last thing that's available. You can't have a lot of money in the bank or a lot of assets because Medicaid won't kick in.
Exactly. And most of us don't have enough money to be able to support ourselves in the nursing home. So at some point you will need Medicaid. And most of us has worked our entire lives, and that's what Medicaid is there for, the assistant. But it must be the last resort, as you just stated. You must not have any monies according to their requirements to go into the nursing home and use Medicare to pay for your services.
So with Medicaid, there is only a certain amount that you can have.
Yes.
And everybody just don't qualify. You have to actually qualify for it. They don't just give it to you, Pastor Body.
No, they do not, brother.
Okay.
You have to contact your social services to see if you're able to qualify.
That is so important. Contact social services. As Undertaker don't say we're experts at Medicaid.
No,
but
sir.
there are some people out there that are. Because, Pastor Eaton, you can listen to your friends. You can listen to the wrong person and do a spin down and don't do it right.
That's right. And it still won't get the help.
You won't get the help you need, and your assets are gone.
Okay.
That's why we say call the queen of pre-need, call the king of pre-need, because you all have done thousands of pre-needs with a spin down situation.
That's right.
This is nothing new for you.
Not
It may
at
be
all.
kind of new for somebody that's listening right now, but the queen and king do this
All the
every day.
time.
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of people call me that are getting ready to go in a nursing home, and when they go and apply for it and they have cash value insurance, they want them to do a spin down.
And
Where
you
they-
get that
where-
call
all the time.
All the
Where they
time.
cash in their life insurance and buy a pre-need.
And the reason you would have to cash in a life insurance, Carolyn, is because whole life has a
Cash
value.
value associated.
and when it
with
has a cash value, that counts as your assets.
Assets.
And sometimes you got to cash those in.
That's right.
But a pre-need goes toward the spin down.
It's a service. It's service.
It has to be irrevocable, though, Mr.
Let's
Beckwith.
talk about irrevocable. Let's teach the public about irrevocable. What does that mean? Because I love irrevocable.
Irrevocable means that it just has to be used for your funeral services.
So if I took out a pre-need, my family can't come back later and say,
And
hey,
get any money.
they took it down just for a spin down. I want that money back.
No, they
No, you have to actually do what they said.
Say.
And you got to use that money for what they chose. When we talk about those wishes, you have to honor,
their wishes.
and the government makes sure you do that.
Amen.
They say you're going to sign an
Everything.
irrevocable assignment.
Right.
So you're going to make sure that these people do the right thing with that
Your
pre-need.
money.
Carol, that is so important.
It is, because you've trusted that person, you've put them in charge, and they come back, like you said, and then do a direct cremation that's a lot less
And then try to run
expensive
off with your money.
with your money.
That can't happen.
No,
Can't
the
happen.
All
government
right. So the
protects
best way to spin down is to call the king of pre-need, call the queen of pre-need, and you don't have to worry about anybody running off with your money.
That's right.
It will be used for the purpose it was intended to be used for. So very important. Now we say insurance and pre-need to run hand in hand, Pastor Body. Well, why is that?
Well, Brother John, insurance and pre-need runs hand in hand. The pre-need, as we always say, it eliminates the emotional stress from your family.
Okay.
And the insurance should be used for a legacy, an inheritance for your family, not for funeral purposes.
So I take out insurance to pay for bills.
Right.
I take out insurance to leave some money to my family, and that money shouldn't be put in the ground.
No, sir. No,
as,
sir.
as my father would tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't put all your money in the
ground, right.
You need to leave some to live off of
Right.
afterwards. Carl, that's the reason why insurance and pre-need needs to go hand in
Hand in
hand.
hand.
What else go hand in hand with that?
You also have to have a will.
Okay.
Because you must leave instructions, written instructions for your family. You have this pre-need, you have this insurance, but you haven't told them what to do with it. So you have to leave a will.
I tell you what I see way too often. People did the right thing. They took out an insurance policy, but they put the wrong beneficiary on there.
Yes.
And the beneficiary won't do the right thing. They
That's
won't
right.
use it for what they was told to use it for. How important is it that you choose the right beneficiary?
It's very important. Number one, you got to make sure you trust this person.
And they're going to do the right
And they're
thing with
going
the
to
money.
do the right thing with the money.
Carl, I see that too often, that mama loved everybody.
You're right.
So she didn't want to make a difference. So she made all 5 kids beneficiary. And then 2 or 3 of them don't want to do the right thing with mama's money.
John, that's the biggest headache that we still see today with our families. You're exactly right. No, mama didn't want that. We're not going to spend that money on that. Mama wanted me to have that. You should have one person that you specifically trust, and that person will follow your instructions. You leave instructions then for them to do with your money what you want.
And I tell you, Queen of Pre-Need, I've seen people say, give me my portion. Don't use my portion toward a funeral. Don't use my portion toward the deceased person. Give me my money, and y'all use y'all portion.
The prodigal child.
You got to be so careful that you don't put the prodigal son as your beneficiary. You better wait till he come back home. Because if he's still out there, his name doesn't need to be on
That's right.
nothing.
That's right.
Ain't that right, Carol?
That is exactly
We see
right.
that too often.
Yes, we do.
Pastor, how often do we see money left in the bank that we can't get to?
All day, every day.
Okay, help the public on making sure that never happens.
Well, you just go to your branch that you are affiliated with and have your account with and tell them you want a payable on death.
Payable on death. POD.
POD.
Okay.
All you have to do is give them the person name, sign a few forms, some information on that person, and then that money can only be given to that individual when they come in. With the right ID and the proper credentials showing that they're the one to receive that money. Because in case that money just may have to go towards your funeral bill.
Exactly. And Carolyn, you don't want it stuck in the
bank.
In the
you don't
bank.
want the agencies to have to go through red tape
Or
to
an
get your
attorney.
money. Because sometimes it costs a lot more to get the money than you have in there.
And we see that way too often,
Yes,
don't we,
we
Queen?
do.
Every day.
Everybody needs a payable on
On
death
death.
on your
Account.
account. How important is power attorneys while people are still alive?
Power attorneys are very important because that gives them permission to act on your behalf.
And sometimes you're unable to do that.
That's right.
You travel, you get hurt, and you don't always pass away, Carolyn.
Right.
You need somebody to make some medical
Decisions for you. Exactly. You can be in a coma, you can be on life support, and your family and medical professionals need to know what you want done for your health.
And you need to have somebody on there that's going to do the right
Thing.
by you and by
And your
your
family.
Because a lot of times we just leave it to our next of kin. And when you don't have a spouse and you have multiple children, and this is important, this is a very important part of the basis. They're all equal next of kin, Carol.
Right.
Amen.
That's too many bosses.
Exactly.
When they say too many chiefs and not enough,
Indians.
you
They are
need to
not
decide
going
who's
to
going to
agree.
be the chief in your family.
Right.
Right.
And these are just basic things. So we covered a lot today, Carol. So let's try to recap. We talked about it is so important to know what's going to happen when someone passes away.
Yes.
Certain things we have to put in order. Then we talked about when you come in to make funeral arrangements, there are certain things that have to be
You will need.
that we need and in order. And if you're dealing with a Medicaid situation we need to spin down, we need to get in touch with the Queen as well as the King, and you all will walk them through these procedures. Then we say 3 things you got to have, Pastor Body. You got to have a pre-need, you need some insurance, and you need
A will.
you need a payable on death on
Every
all the
account.
accounts. Very important, and make sure the right person is
The
On
beneficiary.
all right. Put somebody on there you can trust and watch Ask the Undertaker. So much information we need to give you every Saturday night right here on channel 47.2 at 7 o'clock p.m. and every Sunday morning at 5:30 a.m. on channel 21. And you all know my favorite,
The radio
show. I love the radio show because you can actually call in and ask questions, and we will answer your questions directly on Heaven 97. That's 970 a.m. on your dial every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 o'clock a.m. And if you can't get enough of,
Golden Gate.
all right, you go out to GoldenGateFuneralHome.com or YouTube, and you can watch us all day. May God bless you. May God keep you is our prayer. We are stepping up the level of our services. Our goal is to treat your loved ones with the respect they deserve. We are taking our services to new heights. We are stepping in a new direction. Step into the new millennium with Golden Gate Funeral, where service begins and never ends.